Welcome to the battle of the cryptocurrencies. It's Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Which one should you buy and which one should you invest in? That's what I want to get to the bottom of this video by showing you how they're the same, how they're different, and which one is the best. But first, I want to show you my crypto portfolio right here. I've started with around $100,000 and it has since grown into this. And the reason I'm showing you that is not to show off or establish my credibility as much as I just want you to know that I am biased. So listen to me with a grain of salt. But there's a lot of exciting stuff I want to share with you in this video. So let's get to the bottom of this and meet our contenders.
In the blue corner, we have the Challenger, created and launched in 2014 by Vitalik Buterin. We have a market cap of $122 billion with a daily volume of $40 billion. We have the smartest programmable money in the world, Ether. And in the red corner, with a market cap of $685 billion, with a daily trading volume of $84 billion, with a circulating supply of 18.5 million, we have the original crypto that changed it all, the all-time heavyweight champion of the world, the Honey Badger, Bitcoin!
Sorry, that was really obnoxious and really fun. Always wanted to do that. You guys can go now. Thank you. Smash the like button and let's begin. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Welcome back. Come for the finance and stay for the magic and the weird jokes. But unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of Ethereum, and you've definitely heard of Bitcoin. So instead of showing you complex chart analyses of ascending, descending, wedge pattern Fibonacci sequences, which I don't even know what that is, I'm gonna get really meta with you and explain the differences between these two and why they're so powerful. And I promise if you watch this video all the way through, it's gonna give you the ability to invest in these cryptos in ways that you never thought were possible. But first, let me show you how the two are the same, because they're both considered cryptocurrencies, they're both investments that people like to speculate and gamble their money on, they're both based on what's called blockchain technology, and they're both decentralized mediums of exchange, whatever that means. But in a lot of ways, they're also very, very different. So let me separate the fact from fiction and start off with the one that everyone seems to be talking about, the one that is skyrocketing in price, which is Bitcoin. All right, so this is gonna sound a little bit crazy, but to understand the importance that Bitcoin is about to have in the near future, we actually have to travel back to the year 1964. Doc, what the hell is a gigawatt? Back to the Future reference. But in 1964, there was a Russian physicist by the name of Nikolai Kardashev, not related to the Kardashians, and he came up with a scale of measuring the output of a planet's energy. We then used his classification system to try to find intelligent life beings outside of Earth, because how else would we try to find extraterrestrial beings if not looking out into the outer space and try to find these bursts of energies and then try to classify them. And using this system, he came up with 3 different types of civilizations: Type 1, Type 2, and
diabetes.
Type 3. So let me give you a breakdown of what each of these mean. Type 1 is an interplanetary type of civilization, and it gets most of its energy from its nearby star, like for us, the sun, in the form of solar energy. A Type 1 can harness all the things like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis, and they have full and total control over their own weather system. But once you reach a Type 2, that civilization then becomes immortal. That's because a Type 2 civilization has complete control and mastery over the sun and its nearby star in the form of something like a Dyson sphere, which, by the way, is not a vacuum. But they use this energy to then explore and colonize other planets, making that species immune from extinction, because if they face an event, they can just move to a different planet. You can think of Star Trek, that is a perfect Type 2 civilization. And then we have Type 3. That is galactic, and Type 3s are extremely powerful, and they can actually harness and have control over something like a black hole, and they can explore entire galaxies. You can think of Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. That is the Empire. But these 3 different types of civilizations are separated by orders of magnitude of energy that is required to become them. And on this scale, we are Type 0. That's because most of our energy is brought to you by our sponsor, ExxonMobil. We can't guarantee the most powerful energy, but we can guarantee falling stock prices. I'm just kidding. I'm not sponsored by anyone, but I do own ExxonMobil stock. So anyway, most of our energy comes not from our sun, but from dead plants and coal and basically oil, and we don't control the weather just yet. but in a lot of ways we are becoming a type 1 civilization. So technically we're not quite 0, we're more like 0.7, maybe 0.75 if I'm being really generous. And over the next 90 to 100 years, we are going to become a type 1, and we see evidence of this everywhere we look. For example, we have a type 1 language, which is English, that is spoken all around the world. And if people know a second language, it's probably going to be English. And so it's a very planetary type of a language. Now, when it comes to information, education, and entertainment, that would all belong to social media. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. All of these educate and inform us, and in many ways waste our time on a planetary level hitherto undreamt of. But that's a separate issue. When it comes to a type 1 communication system, that would be this: the smartphone, or basically the internet. And when it comes to a type 1 culture, that is basically the same everywhere we go. No matter where we travel to, we virtually look the same. Our fashion choices are largely inspired by social media and Hollywood. But now we're about to go through the most important change of our entire generation, which is the transformation from a type 0 to a type 1 form of money. This is crypto. Well, this isn't. This is just a gold coin that I thought looked really cool, but now let's fast forward to the year 1999, which was 1 year after I came to the US as a Russian spy immigrant child. And it was that same year that Milton Friedman, who's a very famous and smart economist who predicted the future and what is literally going on right now. This is what he said.
The one thing that's missing, but that will soon be developed, is a reliable e-cash, a method whereby on the internet you can transfer funds from A to B without A knowing B or B knowing A.
And that's exactly what Bitcoin and Ethereum are trying to be, a medium of exchange of A to B without A knowing B or B knowing A, the same as handing out a $20 bill. Except there's a lot of different types of bills when we travel. We have to convert our own money into that country's native currency, which is really annoying because what am I supposed to do with all my British coins? But there's a lot of different things like the Russian ruble, the Swiss franc, the US dollar, and the list goes on and on. But imagine living in a world where there is one uniformly accepted currency worldwide. And that's exactly what Bitcoin and Ethereum are trying to be, except they're not really trying to compete for the same thing. Here's the main difference. Bitcoin wants to be money. But what is money? Michael, Vsauce here. That still doesn't work. Can't be him. Money is influence, and the more influence you have, the more powerful you become, except for thousands of years, that power has exclusively belonged to the elite and to the governments of the world with their use of this right here. This is called fiat money, and fiat literally means to rule by decree, a royal decree. That's a Jinzo. That's not a royal decree, but you still can't play your trap cards. GG. But anyway, money used to represent more than just that piece of paper, right? So we could literally walk into a bank and get a little chunk of gold, and ever since, we have parted ways. But just like our parents and our grandparents had access to gold, we now have access to gold 2.0. And this is the next step toward becoming a type 1 civilization, a type 1 store of value for the world. Obviously, Bitcoin is not a good currency right now because it goes up and down in value so much. So why would anyone want to buy anything so they could end up like the pizza guy who spent millions of dollars on a few slices of pizza? So instead, we treat it like an asset and we just hodl onto it while it continues to increase in price. That is until it stabilizes, and then maybe at that point we could use it as a currency. But that could take maybe 10 or 20 years. But in the meantime, here's what I think is gonna happen to Bitcoin this decade. When Bitcoin goes up in value, it's not so much that it goes up as much as the fiat money in relation to it is going down. So what I really think is that somebody should turn this into a wallet. But because we're printing more money and the money printer go prrr, that is why Bitcoin increases in value. So as far as where Bitcoin's price is actually going, you could pull out your phone right now and do this with me. It's really simple. But let's assume that Bitcoin catches up to gold's market cap of around $10 trillion. Bitcoin's market cap is around $700 billion. So let's divide the two. Since I don't even know how to write that many zeros in the trillions, I'm just gonna put 1,000, assuming gold's market cap, divided by 70, which is Bitcoin's market cap. We get a factor of 14.2. So let's just round it down to 14, nice and easy, and then we multiply that by Bitcoin's current price, which is $39,000 at the time of making this video, and we get a price per coin of $557,000. That's a rough way of looking at it, and I do think that's gonna happen this decade, assuming we don't get some solar flare and then the whole internet shuts down. But in the long term, I do see Bitcoin easily going over $1 million. And if that sounds exciting and you're like, I can't wait to sell it and become a millionaire. I know that sounds exciting, but you have to understand that by then, Bitcoin and blockchain will be integrated into so many businesses and infrastructures that by that point, we might not even need to sell it or exchange it for anything else. We would just buy things with it. And also, not to rain on anyone's parade, but by the time Bitcoin reaches $1 million, those things you want to buy today, like the house and the car, they would be double, triple, if not quadrupled in value. That's because of inflation, and that is normal. But in the meantime, as Bitcoin takes over as the #1 store of value, this is where Ethereum swoops in. Ethereum is actually much more powerful than Bitcoin in terms of what it can do. So when you think of this $100 bill right here, you saw that and missed it. But imagine a bill with a computer chip built inside of it. And that is what Ethereum is. It is programmable money, and it has a chance of becoming what economists like to call M1 money. And M1 is all the physical supply of the currencies like the bills and the coins together in the world in supply. But this would be the full digital equivalent of that. And the reason that Bitcoin is not as powerful as Ethereum is because Ethereum has what's called smart programmable contracts built into its code. And that's really important because Ethereum can do what are called DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. I know that sounds really complicated, but I promise it's really easy. So imagine a company like Apple where you have the CEO, the board of directors, and the whole team behind that. DAOs do everything a company does without any of the middle management or anyone owning that company. It just exists. So imagine an app or a website doing whatever it is it's supposed to do. So here's some really cool examples of how Ethereum will potentially change the world. Think of buying a house right now. It's very complicated. You have to go to the bank, get funding, get a letter of approval, go to a real estate agent to show you the house, who then speaks to the seller's real estate agent, who then speaks to the seller to negotiate the final price, and then once that's done, then escrow companies and other middleman companies get involved. And it's a very long, complicated process for what literally should be as simple as like, cool house, money, thank you. And that's it. So instead, imagine a decentralized website that exists, that belongs to nobody, that has listings that it pulls MLS data from companies like Redfin, Realtor, or Zillow, and then it shows you these listings, which are each attached to an Ethereum-based smart contract. And it has a certain level of parameters attached to it. So for example, one listing could say, upon completion of whatever, 100,000 Ethereum coins, I will sell you the house and give you the title, which will then publicly be displayed on the blockchain, and that is it. You have bought a house without any middlemen and without waiting for weeks, if not months, to close on the house. Another example are ride-sharing services like Lyft and Uber, who for years have taken advantage of their drivers. So imagine a decentralized website or an app interface that connects a customer with a driver, and it locks it in an Ethereum-based smart contract that says, if you get me from A to B, I will pay you this amount of Ethereum. And that's it. That allows the driver to keep 100% of the profits without giving up any to the ride-sharing companies. That's amazing, and that's two industries right there that are going to be completely disrupted, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about disrupting communications, voting, funding, intellectual property, healthcare. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and it's being built by some of the smartest people in the world right now. And when it's built, it's not going to ask for permissions to launch. It's going to just be, and we're going to start using it because it is superior technology. Even the people who run the government are going to start using it, which is why we don't need permission for it, which is also why I think Ethereum is going to make 99.9% of the altcoin market completely obsolete, which is why I only stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But as far as Ethereum's price and where it's going to go in the future, here's what I think. The price of Ethereum's market cap, which remembers all the money in that space, is probably going to get bigger than Bitcoin's by a mile, but the price per coin will probably not be more than Bitcoin's. That's because Bitcoin has a limited fixed supply of 21 million coins, whereas Ethereum does not have a fixed supply, which is why it's more like currency and Bitcoin is more like digital gold. I think making price predictions at the end of the day is not really that important once you understand the fundamental value of these technologies and that you are investing in the future. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum goes up to several thousand, if not $10,000 per coin. But at the end of the day, that's not important. What is important is understanding that by investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum, you are investing in the future of the infrastructure of society into a type 1 civilization's form of money, and that is a huge deal. The downside is that it's gonna be a bumpy ride, and we're gonna continue crashing upwards. So if you wanna smooth out the ride, don't forget to grab your 4 free stocks by depositing $100 with WeBull. 2 of those stocks can be valued up to $1,600 each. If you'd like to get up to $250 worth for free of digital currencies, you can use my link below. Just remember, it's not FDIC insured, so please be careful. You can also follow me on Instagram. I post from time to time. Join my free Discord group. And in the meantime, reach out to me. My PO box is down below. Love you. Thank you so much. I will see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes a Wednesday. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Also, if you haven't seen it, go check out Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, which I was featured on with crypto. Super cool experience. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.